Hello there and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today is going to be a little bit of a special video because I'm going to show you what I do to prepare for a video that I'm filming. And it's not always easy, especially when I'm painting something new that I've never done before. Normally I try to sit down with myself and say how can I paint this one in the best way possible, but not just like painting it, but also explaining it to you guys who are watching how I'm doing things as well. And that's not always easy. So today's video is just going to be a little bit of like a prep work. I have an upcoming board game that I'm going to paint partially called Waylanders. It was sponsored to me by Darco Ideas, some nice Spanish guys that I met in the Essen Spiel show a couple of years back. Reached out to them and said that, do you have any board games you'd like to send me that I can paint for you? And they said sure. We've got the Waylanders board game. It's got lots of cool miniatures. If you want to paint that and talk a little bit about the game, so sure, I can do that. So this is from this board game, and this is the back side of this card. So I'm showing you this card because if there is no if there's just a beautiful miniature like this one and there's no card art, then I try to figure out what would it be like, what kind of colors would I use, in which way would I paint them. Would I start with, say, the shades? Would I start with the base colors? But in this case, I've actually got the miniature and I've got the card art as well. So you can see here, this is a brig, this person is called Brig, is a Celtic guardian. So I can see that he has obviously a sword. The sword has some nice detailed handles. It has, of course, a metal part over here. The shield here, I can see that it's not ornament. It doesn't have a lot of ornaments, but it does actually have a basic wooden part here, as well as a brim of metal on the sides, as well as the shield buckle. Do you call it shield buckle? Something like that. Yeah, I'm a bit unsure here. But this is how it looks like when it's fully healed, and this one how it looks like when it is not, when it's down. Now, I'm not going to go through everything here on the card art itself, but a little bit about the card art. It means that this is the number of dice you roll, this is the range of the unit, so obviously this one is a melee character. As you can see with the sword, other cards in the game will be like melee, there will be range characters, there will be magical characters, and so on as well. I will talk a bit about the game when I actually do the video. Now, for this video, you can see, if I turn it around here for you, you can see that he's going to have a blue tunic here that you can see over here on the side. He also has some kind of armor showing either on his shoulder here. It may not actually be possible to paint it, I'm not sure. But he's fairly otherwise unarmored, save for the sword and shield, as well as the helmet. In the picture, he doesn't wear a helmet. In this case, what do I do then? Well, normally I try to look at what kind of a helmet were Celts wearing at the time, like say something like 2,500 years ago. And what would they be like? Were they made from metal, or were they made from leather, and so on and so forth. Now, since the card art actually doesn't show anything of his lower body, I'm also going to have to try and figure that out on my own, or doing some research about it. I try to paint pictures, I try to paint models in a historical way if it's possible. If it is not possible, I try to go for a more fantasy look, even that is quite hard. So normally I would try to paint maybe some yellow, yellow, what do you call them, hoses, or no, that's not the word, yellow pens. And maybe maybe make this one part here the protection for the legs as maybe some leather, because I normally wouldn't paint this metal. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Of course, the fur here, you can see in the card art out over here that it's a kind of like a grey fur look. So that means it's going to be a grey fur piece over here. And of course, the back shield of the coat is going to be wood. He also see that he has some gloves here over here, and of course the gloves are going to be brownish. The exact brown color I will choose later. But when I've looked at the card art and then I said like, okay, now I'm going to paint it. Okay, obviously I've washed it, I primed it and everything like that. Like washed it as in I cleaned up the miniature like I showed you a few videos before. And of course, then means I take out my colors. Okay, now obviously the color here was from another video. Now I look at, since I have two figures here, I start looking, okay, now I know the colors. I'll start picking out the colors. So of course here I have the model color from Vallejo called Royal Blue. Royal Blue might work really well. I might use Macrosh Blue from Citadel, maybe mix it a little bit black to make sure that it's darker and then highlight it up as I go. I might actually add some flat earth for the his shoes, or maybe not, or I will simply go in and say like, okay, great, I will use a neutral gray for the fur coat, or I may not. So but it gives you kind of like a basic look, like, okay, this is how I'm going to paint my miniatures, and you can do the same. So research and planning is a big part of actually painting your miniatures, because you don't want to be stuck there in the middle and it's like, oops, I paint this in the completely wrong color and I have to spray paint them all over again just because I didn't do my research. So it may sound really boring, but this is what I do. I'm big on that step. Now, as you know, you've seen me before and you've seen my videos, I'm not the I'm not the most organized person in the world. I get that. I hear that a lot as well, but I'm trying. But in this case, you can also, of course, so you line up all your colors, everything is done, and then you start painting it. Now, normally I would go for something that is like a piece that it requires the most drying time. So I would start with a fur coat and then moving on with the blue tunic over here and on this other side. I do that so when it's time for a second layer if possible, then it already has time to dry because I already painted something else in between. So this is kind of like a basic painting technique you could use as well if you feel comfortable with that part. Now, I also want to show you a little bit about my setup. I have a wet palette, but I also use a basic, very basic old plastic palette like this. That also works really well. I also have my paint jar. I'm going to move it over here so you can see it with the water. Very basic like this. There are already some brushes there. And then I set out, make sure that I have some plastic or rubber coating so I don't destroy my desk that I'm working with. I also work out of a regular Amazon or lamp that I got from Amazon that has kind of like a blue ring light, and it attaches my phone on top of it. I also have an extra light, and I'll show you this one again. Keep in mind my desk is a complete mess, so I'm going to show you this one. I have another light like let's see if something like that, and of course some basic kitchen towel to make sure that if I spill something or I need to dry brush, I can use that immediately. So this is just a very, very basic setup, and I just wanted to show it to you. Next time might go through what kind of brushes I'm using and so on and so forth. Now, so this is going to be my next project. I'm going to paint Brig. Now, I'm also going to show you that since I have two models, I normally prepare one of these models completely in advance. I put in all the base colors, so when I'm ready to paint, I will show you how this one is painted, and I can see now what it looks like before, and then this one will be completely ready to go on with the shades or wash, whatever you prefer to use, and that means you don't have to wait so long. It will be a little bit easier for me as well. So once this one has been dried, then I can go completely and paint the wash over this one. And once this one is dry, you can actually see, okay, what does it actually look like? So the transition is easier for you to follow. Now, I'm just going to say that there. So Brig is going to be my next project from the board game Waylanders from Darco Ideas. Thank you very much. You will get another thank you in the video where I'm going to talk about the game. I'm also going to say that I'm going to not just paint the miniature, but I'm also going to show you slightly, a very brief overview what you actually do in the game. And this is going to be part of my new series that I will launch starting probably this week or next week, called Paint Talks. I paint and I talk a little bit about the game that I'm painting. So still going to be a regular painting video, but I will actually try to give you a brief overview what you actually do in the game as well. So if you like this, please don't hesitate to like, share, and please leave a comment if you like these kind of ideas. Otherwise, I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button down below, spread it to your friends, and leave me any comments and see what I can do better, or suggestions are otherwise most welcome. Now, thank you very much for watching for this quick video, and I will see you next time painting Brig.